And the objective of this lesson is Découvrir le français. Découvrir le français means to discover French, right?
Hey there, welcome to frenchnyou, your go-to place for affordable live online French courses. Whether you are a beginner or preparing for DELF or DELF exam, we have got you covered. Join our global community of more than 25,000 learners from more than 45 different countries with 2 million plus views on YouTube. On our website, you can rate your own French level and pick the batch that suits you best. We offer multiple time slots and you get to choose two preferences at the time of registration. Every French course includes 2 mock DELF practice exams and a course completion certificate. Visit frenchnyou.com to explore course details, success stories and more.
I'll also brief you about a little bit about how the course is gonna be. This is the book that we will follow, that is Cosmopolite A1 level, and this is the main book. This is the textbook, right? And this one, another part of this book is the activity book, the workbook, I would say.
Okay.
We have the website of this publisher, that is Achet.fr. This
Okay.
Achet is the French publisher of this book.
Okay.
So they have published this book and they are having this website where they have uploaded the book of all the levels. Like if you will have a look over here, A1
Hmm.
level, Cosmopolite A2, A3, I mean 3,
B. B.
4, and 5. Right? So
Okay.
this is for Niveau A1. Niveau matlab level, right?
Okay.
Then A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. These are the upper level, advanced level. Now, going to this, let's say we are starting with A1 level, Cosmopolite 1. Now, here we will be having our first book, that is Livre d'élève. That means a textbook or the book of the student. So, if we will move on this part, this will open the workbook activities, and that means the audio is present in the workbook. And if you're talking about the textbook, all the audios for every chapter, for every single, you know, chapter, whatever audios are there in every chapter, it will be mentioned over here, and I will be playing it right from here. Right?
Okay.
Now, let's talk about how many folders do we have. Folders, that means lessons and the content in each lesson. So then I will be sharing that with you now. So talking about the book, we are having Dossier 0. Now, dossier means the folder in French or a file, right? Now, we are having total 8 dossier in this particular book. Total 8 dossier. And in each single dossier, we are having 6 lessons, right?
Okay.
So total, how many lessons do we have? Around 48 lessons. Whatever foreign language you will study, it will always be in the form of, they always calculate the duration in the form of hours, not as per the duration of months or days,
Okay.
right? In Alliance Francaise also, they follow the same book, the same curriculum is followed to teach the, working professionals or any student, any adult, and they follow the same pattern, right? 100 hours of course. Now the first, this is a zero dossier. This is a very, very basic dossier. It will be just like an intro module that they have given. Here we will be learning a little bit about the greetings and all, and that is it. Nothing much, right? All right. So we are moving ahead with the dossier number 0, and dossier number 0 is, voila, here we go. Nous découvrons le français. That means we discover French. All right. Now the lesson number 1, that says bienvenue. Bienvenue, I think maybe you guys have heard it or not. That's welcome, right? That's pretty common. Bienvenue. And the objective of this lesson is découvrir le français. Découvrir le français means to discover French, right? So découvrir is the verb over here. Découvrir is to discover the French, right? Français is French, right? Now, some of the greetings you guys already know about it. Bonjour, salut, je m'appelle Irina, et toi, right? So, je m'appelle is a way to say how, I call myself Irina, right? So, usually people teach this as my name is Irina, but it is actually not my name is, it actually means I call myself Irina. In French, they don't say my name is. In French, they say I call myself, or he call himself, she calls himself, herself, right? So it is like that. And et toi is and you, right? So this is just a basic way of greeting, telling about the name. Now, these are some of the languages written in French. L'anglais is English. L'allemand is German. Then we have Espagnol, that is Spanish. Le français, French. Portugais, Portugal. And Polonais is Polish. So whenever in French G and N combines, so it gives a sound of nia, nia. Okay. So Espanol. So whenever A and N comes together in French, the sound is on, like on, you know. For example, allemand. In the last, if you will read allemand. So the pitch goes a little higher. Tone is a little higher. On. So AN combines and gives on. For example, anglais. It's not anglais. It's anglais.
Okay.
Correct? Then if we have, let's say, OM, so the same. Om. Pronunciation is om. Like M ki sound, you will not hear sound of M, but it is just like sound of N only, nasal sound you will hear.
Oh.
Yeah, in case GN comes together, it's like nya. GN comes together, sound is like nya. In French, there are different ways to represent each sound. Then let's say if we are having OI in French together, O and I, like sounded like ua, ua. For example, how will we pronounce this?
Wow.
Moi. Correct. And if we are having, let's say, T, so tua, right? If we have ILLE together, the sound will be E, E. For example, how will we pronounce
Famille. Famille.
famille, famille?
Famille.
We are having one more. Now, this one is a little bit different. This is an exception kind of thing, maybe you can consider. So exception of this particular sound, exception. So it's wheel, wheel. So now these are some of the basic phonetics that we should know before we start with the language, so that you will not face much difficulty in the pronunciations, right? Now, moving to another bit of the intro part. So the right way to start a language is not to start with the alphabet right away. If you will observe, all the letters are, the same as in English also, English only. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. We have mixed up the words and then the words are formed, right? But why we're not just introducing the alphabets in the beginning? Because the right way is to know how the word is pronounced, then you will be able to relate it later on with the alphabet pronunciation, right? So if you will recall, whenever when the child borns, and we don't teach the child directly the alphabets. Okay, this is this. We start talking to the child, then later on, when the child goes to school after 2 3 years, after when the child is in grade, 3 or 4 years old, then he starts to relate. अच्छा, इसको ऐसे pronounce करते हैं, इसको ऐसे pronounce करते हैं. Then he starts to relate the alphabets with the words. So that's why, I really love this book, because this book is designed on every dossier is designed on a particular theme, right? So you will not be learning topics randomly. You will be learning things, I mean, in a particular theme. For example, in one lesson, we will talk about, let's say, family. In one lesson, we will talk about, let's say, the environment. So everything will be like different. In one chapter, in one dossier, we will talk about sports. So, like this. Now, moving to another part of this particular chapter, that is all about how you can greet, how you can introduce yourself to someone. Like a very, very basic introduction. This is simply telling about your name and asking what is somebody else's name. There are two ways. In Hindi, we have it like most commonly. Sometimes you can relate it with French with Hindi. Like in Hindi, we are having two types of conversations. One is informal, one is formal, right? One conversation that we do at our home with our friends, that is totally informal. Another conversation that we have with our maybe in our office or maybe with anybody elder than us. So that is more of a formal kind of situation, right? So in French also we have the situation formal. In French we call it formel and informal, right? Informal is mainly with in French they don't care about if somebody is elder in the family or not. They keep it informal only. For example, in India, in Hindi, with our parents, we use the respectful language. We used to call them aap, right? But in French, they used to keep the informal language only with the parents and with family members and with the friends. And formal language they used to use in their office, like with their boss and somebody stranger. Now, some words, I'm gonna give you a hint over here. Some words that will help you in identifying if any dialogue or any conversation is informal or formal, right? So if you hear, let's say salut is a greeting in French. That means hi, hello, or bye. Or maybe let's say you hear tu. Tu means you. You can consider tu just like Hindi में हम बोलते हैं tu, right? In French we say tu. If you say toi, toi is like you only. And then we have salut, tu, toi, or maybe te, or maybe t apostrophe. If you hear any of these in any sentence, you can understand that the conversation is informal. Now, if in the formal way, let's say there is a conversation going on, formal conversation going on. So let me tell you what kind of words you may see. You can see if there will be a greeting definitely. Bonjour is the safest. Bonjour, if you will hear bonjour, bonsoir, bon après-midi. These are some of the greetings in French. If you see any of them, you can consider that the situation can be formal. Or maybe if you see vous means you in French. This is in the formal way. Like, जैसे हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं आप, right? So this is vous. If you will find the usage of vous or bonjour in the sentence, or maybe you find monsieur, madame. Monsieur is like Mr. or Sir. Madame is ma'am or Mrs. See, if you find these words, consider the situation is formal. If these are some of the words you find, then consider the situation is informal. Now, moving ahead, some of the ways in which we can tell our name, or ask somebody's name, right? So, question how to ask somebody's name. Currently, we will be discussing formal. So, how to ask somebody's name in the formal way? Comment vous appelez vous? Comment vous appelez-vous? Why we are doing this zappele over here? Why we are pronouncing this zappele? This is because of a concept that is called as liaison. Liaison in French is the concept where if any particular word in French is ending with a silent consonant. Silent consonant, that means, let's say if we have to pronounce this particular word VOUS individually. For example, VOUS is pronounced as woo, not woos. We say it woo. Now this S is silent over here, right? Now, right after this particular word, we have another word that is starting with a vowel. We have A. So A, E, I, O, U, we have vowels in the, in English or in French also. So we have a word starting with a vowel. So this particular word S, alphabet S, will be combined with A of the another word, and this will be pronounced with it together. Or let's say if you want to say this question, it will be like vous vous appelez comment?
Okay.
Vous vous appelez comment? So we are doing nothing but just changing the position of comment in this particular in these questions. We have just changed the position of comment, nothing else. And both these questions means how do you call yourself? Now, let's say if you want to reply. Now the reply will also be the formal way. So we can say maybe bonjour, hello. My name is, I call myself bonjour, je m'appelle, and then the name over here. No need to write bonjour again. This is just like I'm considering it as a dialogue conversation. So, but the direct answer can be je m'appelle. Je m'appelle is the basic way of saying name, right? Now, if we want to write the same questions in informal way, so how we can do that? We will simply write comment tu t'appelles. Comment tu t'appelles is also another way of saying how do you call yourself. Now, another way is tu t'appelles comment. One way is comment tu t'appelles. Another way is tu t'appelles comment. Comment means how. So how
Oh,
do you call yourself?
oh,
So this is the informal way of saying how do you call yourself? Grammatically, how it is formed, how the structures are made, how the sentence question is made. This you will understand after a few more lessons. Maybe if you want to ask somebody else's name, Anubhuti joined, let's say, and Anubhuti don't know the name of Anup. So Anubhuti, instead of asking Anup directly, Anubhuti is asking me what is his name. So in that case, we just need to make a small change. Como il s'appelle. Another way, il s'appelle como. Right? Now, let's say if Anup wants to ask what is her name. Just need to make a small change. Como elle s'appelle. And we just need to remove S from both the appels. So, como elle s'appelle. Or elle s'appelle como. So, in case, let's say, I will reply to Anubhuti's question. His name is, या फिर he calls himself Anup. So, il s'appelle, then I will write Anup. Or maybe in case I want to reply to Anup's question, I will say elle s'appelle Anubhuti. And I hope a little bit is clear. And in this case, there is no formal informal. When you are asking some third person's name, there is no formal or informal way in this because you're talking to a second person. In that situation, the formal informal situation will comes in. But if you're talking about a third person who may not be there, so in that case, there is no formal informal situation required. Il refers to he and elle refers to she. Anubhuti, any question?
It's I was just reading. So dialogue 2, it says a vous appelez comment. So
Yeah.
this is, what
A
is
vous.
yeah a
Yeah,
vous?
I'll tell you. So here you will find three times vous is coming,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So this is like a vous is like and you,
Okay.
how you call yourself. So
Hmm.
three times you is coming because in the starting also like they are like referring to and you, how do
Hmm.
you call yourself? It is called as pronounced as
okay.
A, right? So
Hmm.
now this is an audio based question basically. So I
Yeah.
will be playing the audio and you guys can understand how they're pronouncing each single line, each single dialogue, right? And then we need to also identify which dialogue is corresponding to which particular image, A or B. So dialogue 1, which image? Dialogue 2, which image? Right? Here we go. The first audio-based exercise.
Dossier 0. Nous découvrons le français. Leçon 1. Bienvenue. Activité 2. Dialogue 1.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Marie. Et vous? Vous vous appelez comment?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Irina. Et toi? Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Christina.
Dialogue 2.
Et vous? Vous vous appelez comment?
Je m'appelle Rodrigo.
Comment il s'appelle?
Il s'appelle Rodrigo.
Right? So you must be, listening a little kind of sound when they're pronouncing R in French, right? You guys have observed it. So with time, you will get that sound, and with the help of my lecture, you'll also get how to roll your tongue, how to twist your tongue to pronounce that particular sound. It will take a lot of practice, a lot of gargling practice it will require. Watch a lot of videos, a lot of podcasts, listen to a lot of French people talking. Okay, so yeah, any guesses? Which particular dialogue you will associate with which picture?
Dialogue 2 with A
Okay,
and
and yeah, and
dialogue
dialogue.
1 with B.
Okay, so your answers are correct. One thing, it seems like these people here, they are like more enough in kind of a meeting in an official purpose or
Yeah.
something, and hence they are using an basically a formal language, right? Another thing, here there is a boy also involved, right? And that's why they are also asking this boy, what is your name?
One sec, yeah.
So starting with somebody asked, and you, how do you call yourself? So he replied, Je m'appelle Rodrigo. But I think the person who is asking did not get the clear answer clearly. So she asked again, ¿Cómo él s'appelle? How he calls himself? Then another person again reply, he calls himself Rodrigo. Right? So this is another way of looking at it. So that is all about this particular lesson. Se présenter means to introduce ourselves. Now we are having a few more terms. So first term is like prénom. Prénom means the first name. Prénom. And if somebody is saying no, N-O-M in French, it means like the last name. Other than that, we have one more term that is pseudo. So pseudo is like, kind of a nickname. Pseudo. Okay. So in French, like they used to sometimes, sometimes they ask, quel est ton pseudo? Quel est ton pseudo? Quel est ton pseudo? That means, what is your nickname? So in that case, whatever the nickname is, this is basically used in more of an informal situation. But yeah, prénom, nom, and pseudo. We learned in this particular lesson, dire son prénom. Dire means to tell about somebody's first name, and also we learned about demander le prénom. Demander le prénom means to ask the first name, right? So this was all about the lesson number 1. So in workbook, there is no exercise based on dossier number 0 because it is just introductory dossier. From dossier 1, there are exercises in lesson number 1, right?
Merci.
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 Adama. Adama is like tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.